like I want them to see like, well, my dad has like failing vision, but he's still doing all this stuff. Like he still goes to work every day. He still,
Yeah.
I go to the softball games, you know what I mean? Like my dad's going blind, but like he's still doing all this, you know? Don't give up.
Vinny, welcome to the See-Through podcast, man.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks for having me on here.
Looks like you're in a garage there.
Yep.
You in trouble with the wife again? It looks intricate, man. You got all the tools on the wall. You got a car you're building in the background.
Yeah.
It looks like a man's paradise, you know?
There's a lot of hot rod artwork and everything on the walls too, so.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that. That's like kind of a theme of this episode is you build cars basically almost from scratch at some points. A lot of your parts you build, rebuild and repurpose and all for a great cause. Right now you are building a car called the RP Flyer.
Yep. That's the one that's behind me.
And that's the one right there. But before we start talking about that, because I think it's such a sick project that you're working on, I wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Yeah. All right. So my name's Vinny. Have a wife, 2 kids, 2 daughters. I'm a girl dad.
Nice.
Yeah. Married just about 14 years now. Daughters are 10 and 3. Yeah, I have retinitis pigmentosa, diagnosed at 10 years old.
RP gang in the building. For those who don't know, me and Vinny have hung out in real life, in IRL, as the kids say, a few times. And Vinny's like the sweetest guy ever.
Oh, thanks,
but he's very talented at building cars. And it's like you have so much knowledge. And sometimes when I hear you talk about it, it's just like, sounds like gibberish. But it's still cool to hear about. But yeah, you had this garage back there, and we kind of alluded to it when we started the episode. But you're building a car called the RP Flyer. How about we just talk about that?
Yeah, we could jump right into that. All right, so 2019, my dad and I went to a vintage drag race that happens on the beach in New Jersey. It's all pre-war. Cars are put together with pre-war parts. Nothing aftermarket, nothing new, used, new, bought from online kind of thing. So we left, and I said, you know what? I want to do that. It kind of just went in the back of my mind. Then COVID and all that other stuff happened, and I started finally collecting parts last year. It's been snowballing. So I had this whole pile of parts, and then turns out like none of it would work. The race, the main race that I want to do, the one that's on the beach called the Race of Gentlemen in New Jersey. Very, very strict rules on what the car can look like, what the car can be used, parts can be used on the car and stuff like that. So following their rules, because I want to get on that race, but there's also other races around the East Coast that are not as strict. So I figure once I do that one, the car will be good for all of them.
Yeah.
So the parts that I had, I couldn't, it was a 1919 Model T, and I was trying to use Model A parts from newer, but still in the 30s. And I just...
So you said 1919?
Yeah, that was my original. Yeah. But the original rolling chassis I had was a 1919. Pulled out of the woods. Got it for free.
Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I still had the original wooden spoke wheels on it that looked like wagon wheels. Yeah. No, the thing was nuts. And I couldn't... It actually was in really good shape for being over 100 years old, but I just couldn't get the newer parts to work with it as safe as I wanted it to be. So I scratched the bones of that project, and then I picked up what's behind me. I have it's a 3031 chassis, the rolling chassis, so the axles, the chassis, the brake system, it's all mechanical brakes. The motor is early 1928 motor and transmission. The body that's on it is actually a 1927. So it's kind of like what I could get my hands on, like I'm trying to build it cheap
Yeah.
because when it's done and I'm done racing it, then I'm going to sell it and give all the money to Foundation Fighting Blindness.
Wow.
So, which I've already talked to them. They know about it. The project's on their radar. It'll be a surprise, but it won't be a surprise. You know what I mean? Like they know about it
Yeah.
now. And I've been out here almost every night when the kids go to bed, and yeah, just weekends and just plugging away at it. Friends come over, help out. So it's a pretty good time.
Yeah. It sounds like a really fun project to kind of take a break from, your daily task.
Yeah.
Being a parent, work, and you come out and kind of, it's probably clears your head, I would imagine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. 1930s is, it's funny because you're like, oh, I went from a 1919, that was too old. But then I made this 1930s one work.
Yeah.
It's funny that 11 years, that's so old. It's almost 100 years old.
Yeah.
And then all the other parts are from different eras and times.
Yep.
Because you're kind of pulling different parts and making them work for you, because you said you want to keep the budget cheaper to kind of maximize the profit. Because when you sell it, you're going to donate all the money to Foundation Fighting Blindness.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Just going to swap meets, going to car shows that people are like selling old parts out of their trunks kind of thing, like cleaning out their garages. I went up to New Hampshire. A guy's grandfather had passed away and he had like a barn full of parts. So we went and dug through and I found parts from there. So, I mean, we traveled, my dad's been helping a lot because of the RP not driving. So, we just load my dad's pickup truck up with stuff every time we go out. And so we drove like 2 hours into Connecticut, almost into New York City. We were like a couple exits up.
Wow.
And picked up, that's where the frame came from. And then the body was up near Boston. So that was about a little over an hour away. So like, it's just, we went to New Hampshire. We went 3.5 hours up into New Hampshire.
And you're based in Rhode Island.
Yeah,
right?
I'm in Rhode Island. So I mean, it's New England. But,
yeah.
But yeah, like 3.5 hours up into New Hampshire just to find like the shocks that I needed and a couple of little odds and ends in some guy's collection. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's the other part of the fun of it though. Like, just what can I find today? What can I wheel and deal,
So you enjoy the kind of process of seeking out certain parts and kind of traveling to go get them.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I personally, I feel like that would stress me out for some reason. I don't. Maybe we have different personalities for that type. Because I'd be like, what if I drive all the way there and they don't have anything I need?
Yeah.
Like it would be like, that seems like would take up so much time as it is. And then on top of that, you're taking those parts and then building them. Like I said, it's kind of proof of how nice of a dude you are. You're doing all this and you're even spending some of your own money in your free time just to fundraise money for Foundation Fighting Blindness. Sure. And I know not all of it's coming out of your pocket, right? You've had some fundraising help so far.
What do they call that? Well, it's a GoFundMe, but I mean, what do they call that? Crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding.
Yeah. So, and I wasn't originally trying to do that. Like, I was selling old parts. I was selling stuff I had, like, because again, trying to keep the low budget just because I didn't want to spend a lot to do this.
Yeah.
And I went on another podcast and I was talking about it. And one of the guys was like, well, do you have a GoFundMe? We'll share it. And I said, no. And I explained why. And he said, well, it's for a fundraiser though. So it's not like you're not begging for money. You're not like panhandling for yourself. You're trying to raise money for this project for a good cause. And I said, and once it clicked, like thinking of it that way and not just thinking of like me begging for money. I started the GoFundMe, which has definitely helped because I mean, not that I'm going out and finding like the most expensive stuff still, but
You're going to use 93, the level 93 gas or whatever it's called.
yeah, yeah,
You know, the most expensive.
yeah. In the car to go find the
I
parts, you
always
know?
I always use the 80s,
Yeah, yeah.
the 87 gas.
87. But yeah, so it's definitely helped. I mean, the project definitely started really taking off once I did all that. So
And is that still available? The crowdfunding?
yes, yeah, it is still. I mean, the goal that I had set, I met pretty quick. So
Yeah,
I upped it, and it
that's
hasn't
awesome.
it hasn't met the second goal yet, but we're pretty actually pretty close.
All right, just so people don't feel like, oh, he's already met his goal. You still have plenty to do,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
if they donated it, it would be useful.
Yep, yeah, yeah. Because there's
Yeah.
also like I mean, if there is anything extra, it goes in to the to the lump sum at the end anyway.
Yeah,
There
true.
there, there is a goal that I had in my head. If it goes past that, then like it just gets added on at the end anyway. So it's just you're
Okay.
donating to Foundation Fighting Blindness. So
Yeah, Foundation Fighting Blindness, I strongly support them. How do you feel about Foundation Fighting Blindness? Why them versus other, organizations?
well um they helped with my through Mass Ioneer. They helped with my genetic testing and all that, and they always provide that for the bubble. So for people that get it done. So um,
Yeah.
that's just, and they help my mom. My mom has RP as well, so they helped her in the past and stuff. So it's just a way to.
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. And speaking of RP, you said your mom has it, you have it. Um, you mentioned you can't drive anymore, so you're legally blind
Yep.
through RP, so you don't drive. So it's nice that you're getting help from like your dad. That's awesome. Sounds like be a fun like road trip kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
let's go pick up some parts. Yeah, has RP made it challenging it for you to work on the car? Is there any, or is your garage like super lit? Do you have certain tools that just kind of make it not really an issue, or does it
Yeah.
ever get kind of complex?
No, I have. I mean, I got in this tiny little 14 by 20 garage. I have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven lights.
Yeah,
So my
yeah, it
neighbors
looks
can
bright in
see.
there.
Yeah, yeah, my neighbors can see through the walls when I'm working out here. Uh,
That's awesome.
and there's always at least two flashlights in arm's reach. Always
Yeah,
for the most part, when I remember, they're pretty fully charged. They're all rechargeable. So, and then I mean, as for tools, not just all. That's all just regular wrenches. Nothing with like I don't know how to read braille or anything like that. So, like
yeah,
my my mom had because excuse me, it came from my grandfather on my mom's side. Um, he had it, and I always remember my mom had a yardstick that was braille when I was growing up, but
mm,
I don't know how to read braille, so it doesn't help me with anything.
yeah,
But
yeah. That makes sense. So your mom. So when you were young, when you were a young Vinny,
yep,
you're still young. You're still young, but you know what I mean. Young.
young.
Was your mom dealing with RP then? Like, was she considered legally blind as you were growing up, or was that something later in her life?
No, I mean I remember she stopped driving when I was in elementary school. I honestly don't remember when, but I know I was in elementary school because of like the walking to school and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah,
and then I remember like my dad, because my brother doesn't have it. So I remember like
yeah,
when we'd go out and come home or whatever, and it'd be at night. My dad would always say, "All right, I got your mom, you get your brother." So like her night blindness, but I mean, we never honestly we never really talked about it. we kind of still don't. So
Yeah.
it's just something that was in the family, and I got it. It sucks, but you deal with it. So it never really
Yeah. Same
came
here.
up, you know.
Yeah. Same here. It wasn't really a hot topic in my
Yeah,
house growing up. And in fact, it was kind of avoided. The only time it would come up was when my mom and then at a certain point I would go with her because I had to do the same tests and whatnot when we'd go to like the specialist
yeah,
and do a bunch of tests. And then that day it was kind of the hot topic. We talk about it, but then the next day it was back to normal, back to kind of avoiding the elephant in the room kind of.
yeah, yeah,
But in a way it's like, I look at it this, I want to know your opinion on it. It's like, I feel like it's different generations. It's just different for the different generations, like,
yeah,
like our parents didn't have like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube to kind of find people that they kind of align with when it comes to, RP.
yep.
What's your take on that? The old way, like for one, I'm like stoked that I can have podcasts to listen to. There's like content creators, there's, support groups on Facebook. You really honestly have to intentionally avoid it. If you have something like RP or other visual impairment or other disability, you almost have to intentionally avoid support.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In this era, whereas back like in our parents' era, like they could even want to, but not really know how unless they live in like a major city and they could go to like a specific conference or something like that. But it was way harder for them. What's your take on like finding like and kind of networking and meeting up and linking up with people, in the blindness community?
Yeah, yeah. Like, so you had mentioned like going to the testing and all that stuff. Like after I was diagnosed up at Mass Eye and Air when I was 10 years old, like that was it. Like
Yeah.
we never went back to there. I went to the optometrist to get glasses and stuff like that. But even then, like 13, 14, 15 years old, I never even wore my glasses. Like I just, not until I actually started driving and I was like, wow, I gotta actually wear these things.
Yeah.
So,
That was back when glasses weren't cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, now they're cool. It's like everyone kind of wants glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
But back then it was like, I don't want to wear my glasses. I want to be cool.
Yeah, I never wore them. And so like before I hit 40, when I met my wife, her family is some of them are in the medical field and stuff like that. So she kind of pushed me to like, hey, you should kind of keep going, like start going back and start tracking this stuff. So we did. I got a retina specialist now. I go to Mass Eye and Air now. And when I went to Mass Eye and Air, it was like right before I turned 40, and I hadn't been since I was 10. So so we were driving home, and they told me, they were like, "Yep." Back then, that was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So they had told me like, you're like at the threshold of legally blind. So you might want to like look into a couple things. And I was like, all right. So on the way home, I was talking to my wife, and she was driving, and I'm like scrolling through Facebook, and I said, I wonder if there's a group. So typed in the search bar retinitis pigmentosa, and then boom, group came up. So I joined the group.
Yeah.
It had like 16 or 17,000 people in it. I was like, holy moly.
Yeah.
So, and that's how I met you, and how I met Mike and Steve from the RP show. That's how I met Eric. So, I mean, our kind of core group is all because of that interaction with Mass Eye and Ear.
Yeah.
So it was nice because then
it's a ripple effect, man. It's a ripple effect.
Yeah, yeah.
That one decision like led to other things. So like, So if someone was hesitant and was like, oh, I don't need a support group. All right, well, then they're going to miss out on the ripple
Right.
effect of everything else that can come afterwards.
Yeah. And I'm now like a pretty big advocate for that. Like, I mean, get the get online, get like find people that have like even if it's not like exactly what you have, because I mean it's tough. I mean, we all have RP in our group,
Yeah.
and even some of us have the same gene mutation. None of us are the same. None of
Yeah.
us are the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. 1,000%.
So
Definitely don't have the same personalities.
yeah, no, well, we're all different on that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the but like when I was talking to my mom about it, um, she said that she had only known one other person that had RP other than her dad and her uncle. Other than those
Yeah.
two, like she only knew one other person. Um, so yeah, I mean, technology to at least reach out and meet people that have the same thing or are pretty close to or under the same umbrella, like Star Guards or Ushers. I mean, it's all under the
Mm-hmm.
RP umbrella. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
so, but like I mean, the technology and the groups are there, so it's only growing. You know what I mean? So it's the technology is only getting
Yeah.
better. So got to use it.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And it's like you mentioned from the support group, you met all of us. We actually have met 2 years in a row as a group, in upstate New York. Shout out to Ed
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the West family
Yep. Great people.
for hosting us. We have what they're called RP Fest is what
RP
we call
Fest.
them, but we meet up there. Yeah. But you had this great idea. I think, just for logistics standpoint, it's hard to coordinate such a massive event
Yeah.
with so many people. We would, I'm sure, like you yourself would love to host an event
Oh yeah.
that has thousands of people with RP showing up. But from a logistical standpoint, it's very difficult to pull off, especially since everyone lives in different parts of the US and the world.
Yep.
But you had the great idea of like, start your own, group,
Yeah.
find people in your state, if your city or town, or just a general somewhat close to you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and see if you can schedule a hangout. It doesn't have to be a proper like camp out or anything like we do, but it's like you could just go to dinner,
Yep.
just, and then have some people to kind of shoot the shit with basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is totally doable. And then so on top of that, you have in real life connections. And then you also still have the support group from the online communities. Like you still have the Facebook group to kind of learn from the messages and posts that are posted on there and all the comments that kind of follow. It kind of gives you a good insight into different perspectives of people all with the same thing, but some people live completely different. Some people have completely different like ideologies
Yeah.
and perspectives on living with RP. And then there's also like the content creators, the Instagram people that we all know. So yeah, there's a lot out there. So yeah, if you're new to vision loss, whatever, don't hesitate to get involved. You can you can dip your feet, by just joining something or
Yep.
just following somebody
Yeah. Yeah.
on
Yeah.
social media. It's really not that hard. Don't be so scared. If you are.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I
Yeah.
guess that's like how I am, my personality. Like I started watching the RP show, and I was like, I gotta like reach out to these guys. That's Mike and Steve. So
Yeah. Shout out Mike and Steve
yeah, so I just started
and
watching
the
like
living free
yeah,
with RP
yep, we were all on that
podcast with,
with
yeah.
Mike, and but yeah, I just started reaching out and like watching like whenever they did like a live video or something, I'd comment on it, and they started to get to like recognize my name. So then
Yeah.
Mike
Yeah.
asked if I wanted to be on his podcast, and that's kind of how it snowballed. But like, yeah, just don't be afraid to like message people. I mean, Jesus Christ, message me if you want. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, don't ever feel like you're stuck somewhere. So
Yeah. And Vinny will take you up on that. He'll
yeah,
really respond to you.
yep,
So he means it when he says that. But yeah, that's awesome, man. And I just think it's so awesome how there's so many different personalities and kind of ways to kind of meet people. But yeah, definitely don't hesitate to do that. Um, Going back to your family a little bit, you know, we talked about your mom. She's still alive, right?
yep.
Does she talk about it anymore now? Or no, you said that she doesn't.
No, not really. She she just recently started using her cane more, which is pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
my dad's happy about that because I mean, short tempers, I guess you could say, run in my family. So, like, if
Hey, it's the Rhode Island way, man.
yeah. So if my parents were out and like my mom like bumped into somebody and they kind of like gave her an attitude, my dad wouldn't be too kind to him. So,
Mm.
he's happy that she's starting to use her cane because then, and even my wife too. Like, my wife's happy. I have an ID cane, and she had
Yeah.
noticed like when I use it, when I take it out, like people avoid you. You know, like they for the
Yeah.
most part go out of their way to not walk close to you or cut across your path. Um, I went to the my wife and I went to the Indy 500 uh, last year, not this year's running, but we went last year, and I had my ID cane with me, and yeah, she said that a lot of people were like kind of what, and that's a crowd of almost 400,000 people. So it's, well, yeah, the biggest race in the United States. So um, yeah, she said a lot of people like walking around, or just when they got kind of close to me, they would like kind of choose a path instead of walking like right next to me. So it is
Yeah.
nice. It is nice to use something that can help somebody that you're with. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I'll walk into somebody. I don't. that's that's me. I don't care. I'll
Yeah.
shoulder
Yeah.
bump anybody. But my wife, but my wife, she definitely appreciates it more when I have when I have my ID cane.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom doesn't use a cane either. She came up to visit me here in New York, and I wanted her because we were going to be, you know, doing some sightseeing in the city, and I wanted her to have some sort of visual on her to
Yeah.
kind of let people know. So I bought her an ID cane, and that was her first time, you know, using it. You know, she's in her 60s, and she was kind of, she surprised herself. She's like, oh, I like this. You know, people are moving out the way. She was using it to kind of judge how deep a step was and
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
like that. And yeah, so it's like, you know, again, I think it's just that generational thing, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Because I mean, I
but
remember my mom going through um, cane train mobility cane training when I was younger,
yeah,
and like the person came to the house, and we were living in kind of in a more urban area, not so much Providence, but basically outside Providence. Um,
yeah,
so it was easier to walk to places. Like, now I live not so city. There's a lot more trees near where I live, so for me to walk to the corner store, it's not as close as where I grew up, you know. So, but I remember somebody coming to the house and walking with my mom like around the block and down the main street and crossing streets and stuff. So she did do the cane training, but then she just, I guess, never stuck with it. But now she does have a cane again. She uses it when she walks out to the mailbox and stuff like that. So
yeah. I mean, honestly, it takes more courage than people think it does to
yeah,
use the cane. That shit is scary.
yeah, yeah, it is.
There's something about it. It's just like the cane. It's like, and obviously the only way to get comfortable with it is through using it.
Yep.
but using it at first is like so scary. You know, I've had orientation mobility training, and it was so awkward because I'm in my head the whole time. You know, am I going to run into a neighbor? You know, and I have an ID cane, but I never use it. Like I'll go, like the other night I went to a concert, and I just get there early, and I basically buy a ticket to be like on a balcony. I spend a little bit more, so I'm like on a balcony. I'd rather be on the floor because it's more fun on the floor. Like the energy's better, you know. But even when I'm up there, it's kind of like I have my phone's flashlight on. I'm like moving really slow. I'll definitely will run into a random pole that's there for no reason, or someone, you know. But I make it work. But I even admit it, if I had an ID cane with me, it would be so much easier. But even me, someone with a podcast who talks about this stuff all the time, it's like I don't do the stuff that I should be doing. And it's there's something to it. It's very hard to bust that cane out. So I said this before, but like if you're a cane user, it's like I respect that so much. You know, the fact that some of these people just bust out the cane and they don't even think twice about it. I just think that's so badass. And they deserve a lot more credit than they get, you know, for using the cane.
The reason that's the reason why I have a mobility, not a mobility cane. I do have a mobility cane. I don't use that. But my ID cane, the whole reason I bought it was because I still wanted to go to shows. Being like an old school punk rock guy, I stopped going to shows for a while. When I stopped playing music, I stopped going to see bands.
You played in bands.
Yep. I played in bands, which again always had a flashlight with me for setup and stuff like that. But yeah, I wanted to start going to shows again. So I bought an ID cane, but I didn't just buy it because typically an ID cane wouldn't touch the ground. So I bought an ID cane that was longer, and I use it kind of like a hybrid mobility / ID cane. Because it is still it's an ID cane, so it's that pencil thin little folds up into a really thin cluster, I guess you could say.
Like mine can fold up. I could put it in my pocket if I really wanted to.
Yep. Mine, it's the sections are, I think, 11 inches. So I mean, it's still fairly long, but when it's all together, it's only like a inch and a half diameter. You know what I mean? So yeah, it goes right in my pocket.
Yeah.
But that was the whole reason. Like I bought it because I wanted to go to shows. Deal with the dark venues and the stairs and stuff like that. So I bought it. And yeah, my wife would give me rides to venues, or I'd ask buddies that were going to see the same band, like, hey, you mind if I'll buy you a ticket if you drive, you know what I mean? So
you use the ID cane when you're in the pit, you know.
Well, no,
you start swinging it around.
A lot of times I hung back, not so much like the balcony. I did use ADA seating a couple times, and I wasn't a fan. I didn't like it.
It's something about it. It's not as fun. I'm starting to realize that now. I've done the balcony a few times, but every time I look down, I'm looking down at the floor, and it seems like that's where all the fun is.
Yeah. I mean, I still enjoy like the energy of it, like being in the venue, but especially like smaller venues. But like one of the last ones, because the last band I went to go see was actually my brother-in-law's band. But the band before that, I actually did like I got there. My wife and I were kind of like halfway down, like between the stage and the back wall, And then when the last band came out, I said, I'm going up. So I folded up the cane, stuffed it in my pocket, and I was like almost right up against the stage, like in the middle of all the
Nice.
stage diving, in the middle, like the pit
Yeah.
behind me. Like I was in it, and I broke my brand new Ray-Ban glasses, and my wife was
Ooh.
pissed.
Ooh. How'd that happen?
How'd it happen? I got kicked in the head.
Ah, from a crowd
Yeah,
surfer
from a
or
stage.
a
Yeah,
mosh pit?
no, a stage diver caught me right in the side of the head. My glasses came
Mm.
off. This huge, he had jumped over a guy in front of me, and the guy in front of me was big.
Yeah.
So I tapped
You
like
just didn't
after,
see it coming.
yeah. After the song was over, I tapped the guy on the shoulder. I was like, "Hey, you see glasses on the ground in front of you?" I had my pocket flashlight, and I'm looking on the ground. I don't see him, and then like a guy next to him hands them to me, and it was like he's like, "Oh, I found these," and it was like the
Mm.
Christmas Story. You know what I mean? Like I hold them up, and like
Oh, yeah,
a
yeah,
lens
yeah.
is missing, the earpiece is like
Yeah.
hanging on. So I just folded them up, slipped
God.
them in my pocket, and carried on with the show. And the after like the house lights come on at the end and everything, and like everybody's kind of like walking, dispersing. My wife comes up, and I got my flashlight back out, and I'm looking for the missing lens that I'll ever find it, you know.
Yeah.
And this other guy comes like walking up. This kid comes walking up, and he's like, "Is this what you're looking for?" And he had the lens, but
Yeah, yeah,
like you hold it up in the light, and you can't even see through it. It's just been stomped on. So,
yeah. Sheesh.
but I still have them. I still have the glasses. I didn't throw them out or anything. I still got them. But yeah, I can't use them anymore. Brand new. I don't even think they were like 3 months old yet.
Does that type of thing like discourage you, or do you kind of
Nah.
just brush it off?
Yeah, no. I kicked myself in the ass. I was like, damn, I should have worn my old glasses. I should have been smart enough to at least wear my old glasses.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, I'd still do that again. It was fun.
Yeah.
I haven't acted like that since I don't know, since before I was 20. You know.
Yeah, you got to let loose, man. Yeah, that's a great story. You know, you fold up the cane, you go up, you know, your face. And you know, that's a good point to make, because that's probably the worst case scenario. You're like, "Oh, what's the worst that could happen?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, you broke your glasses. You're out of a pair of glasses, but it could have been, you know, it's not too bad.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
still got, you know, it's like sometimes your fears are overplayed. You know, it's like if someone was like, I'm not going up there. You know, I'm visually impaired. I'm not going up to the front of the stage.
Yeah. No, I
But
was.
then you do it, and it's like something bad happened, but it wasn't like the end of the world either. You know, so
Right.
it's like,
Yeah. No,
um,
it was definitely like one of the best events of last year. I think
yeah.
it definitely like up there. You know?
Um, is anyone, like when you're out with your ID cane, have you noticed anyone treating you different, or you know, or just, or are people chill about it?
No, I mean for the most part. Excuse me. I've used it in a couple airports. I've used it at the race, and I've used it mainly at shows. Like I honestly don't think I've used it um, anywhere else to notice something like that. But like
Yeah,
even at shows, like when I before the show, unless like a couple shows, like I had it out the whole time, and I kind of just used it to like rest on or whatever. Um, but like nobody's ever really. I haven't noticed anyway. Like somebody like staring at me, like, "Oh, this guy's like faking." You know what I mean? Like he
yeah,
can see the stage from here, but he's got that cane. Like I haven't noticed anything like that. So in the airport, nobody said anything to me. I had the cane out, and I was looking at my phone and using my phone, and nobody said anything. I mean,
yeah,
could also be that maybe people think I'm scary looking. I don't know.
yeah. You're like all tatted up,
Yeah, yeah. So
and then they hear that Rhode Island accent.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, oh no,
Where's the car?
he's gonna.
Where's the Dunkins
Um, Speaking of Dunkin's, you're a big coffee
Oh yeah,
fan,
yeah.
and you post all the time on. If you follow Vinny, which you should, you always post these things on your story about coffee over everything.
Yeah, coffee over everything. I have a shirt actually that says it too.
Yeah, and you don't drink alcohol.
Nope.
No,
Nope. No alcohol. That's the old.
it really has nothing to do with the theme of this podcast,
No.
but I think it's worthy of talking about, because it's like I remember when I was talking to a genetic counselor. She was like, and this was when I was still driving. She was like, you really shouldn't drive at all if you've even had one drink.
Yeah.
And then I did a video online. I did a video a couple years back about how alcohol affects your vision and whatnot.
Yeah.
Is that part of the reason why, or you just have like why you don't drink, or is it just kind of like a personal decision?
No. Well, personal. I mean, yeah, I'm 40. Geez, what am I now? 42. And yeah, I've never had a beer. So I mean, it kind of, I guess you could say it stems from, again, going to shows and stuff. Like when I was going to shows, even I was going to shows when I was in high school and stuff like that. But like after that, even when I could drink, it's just the lights were brighter near the stage, right? So I always stayed near the stage, never hung out back by the bar. But also like the being into like punk rock and old school hardcore and stuff like that. Like I listen to a lot of Minor Threat, and they have the songs about not drinking, not doing drugs, the straight edge lifestyle. So that, and I said, you know what? Well, I don't drink. I don't ever actually have a reason to drink. So I just stuck with that, and that's where that came from. Like, just, it's not because of the vision. Well, I mean, I guess you could say it's because of the vision, because like I said, I stayed where the lights were, which was closer to the stage. Like, I didn't go to the bar and hang out.
Yeah.
So but yeah, no, it wasn't ever like well, I shouldn't drink because I don't want it to affect my vision,
Yeah. I think some people drink to purposely make their vision blurry.
Yeah. You want to see what I'm seeing?
Yeah. But no, that's cool. I think that's something I felt like worthy of touching on.
Yeah.
I feel like, life is stressful, and then with or without a disability, life is stressful.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of, people have a natural tendency to kind of have vices, and I definitely, like a drink or two or
Yeah, whatever.
10, every now and then.
I don't judge anybody.
But yeah, you don't. But how do you, without like drugs or alcohol, how do you de-stress? Is it the car? Would this be like the car?
That's it. Yeah. Garage.
Yeah.
Helps out a lot. Yeah, I mean, just.
That's probably way more of a de-stressor than, I feel like alcohol is just a fake. It's a fake de-stressor. Like you think you're going to de-stress yourself, but then you wake up the next day and you're like, dopamine's all depleted, and then you feel right back to square one. But actually, your square one's now even worse than where you started when you intended to de-stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas your car, you're de-stressing and you're making progress on your car, and then you're like, the next day you're like, oh, I made progress on the car. There's no regrets there.
Yeah. One step forward, even if it's just turning a nut or a bolt. Even if I come out here for like a half hour and I just work on like one little thing, it's still progress forward,
Yeah, you like blast some music and just kind of work on some stuff.
That's it.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
The neighbors can enjoy it.
Yeah. That's nice, man. You mentioned earlier that you know, you're a husband and you're also a father.
Yeah.
How is it being, you know, a legally blind, you know, dad and husband? Is it strange at all? Do your kids find it different, or or is it just nothing really to really harp on?
Well, I mean, it is. I imagine it's getting more stressful for my wife because of me uh, fairly recently not driving. So now everything kind of falls on her for that, like groceries, or if the kids need to go somewhere. Like my oldest plays softball, so it's my wife's always at like the field with her. And I
Yeah.
mean, I imagine it is getting more and more stressful for her, and I'm very thankful for her, obviously, because of what she does for us. Um, my youngest, she's only 3. She hasn't really picked up on anything, um, other than like me probably stepping on her toys, and probably she's probably getting mad at me for that, like stepping on her toys in the living
Yeah.
room or whatever. But
Yeah.
my oldest, like if we go out somewhere and she notices me kind of lagging behind or having some trouble, like she'll grab my hand.
Mm.
My oldest is always there to help me. Um, so she's and we've explained to her, because especially since I fairly recently started using the cane, like that was all very new to her. Um,
Yeah.
so like we explained to her like what the cane's for, and how it helps and everything like that. But she yeah, no, she's definitely more in tune to it, and helps me out a lot. Um, and yeah, I love my kids, and that's
Yeah.
a lot of what I do too. Um, like I want them to see, like, well, my dad has like failing vision, but he's still doing all this stuff. Like he still goes to work every day. He still
Yeah.
comes to my, like I go to the softball games. You know what I mean? Like I still do all
Yeah.
that stuff, and I want them to see that, like, don't give up. Don't, like, my dad's going blind, but like he's still doing all this. You know?
Oh yeah. I think that's the best gift you can give children is a good role model,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. So when your youngest, or when your daughter, your 10-year-old daughter, when she's guides you through like a place, does it feel, I would imagine that would feel very sweet, you know, but part of me, like when I get led anywhere, sometimes I'm like, I'm supposed to be leading
Yeah.
the way, you know?
She actually does it pretty well. Like she'll just come up and like she'll grab my hand, and then like if we're coming to stairs, she'll just be like, "All right, stairs are coming." Like it's not like she's not like pulling me around.
Yeah, I hear
Like
you.
yeah, it's not like that. Like she's trying to like. I mean, probably unless I'm like walking straight towards a pole or something, she might pull me out of the way, or like give me a little attention. But
Yeah.
like she's not like forcibly. I mean, the kid's strong for a 10-year-old, so she probably could pull me away from like a bus, you know what I mean? But
She's been lifting tires in your garage, man.
it's like softball.
Yeah.
She
Weighted softballs,
yeah.
throwing them around, shot putting.
Yep. Yeah. So she does it really well though. I'm impressed at how she like picked up on, like, whether she picked up on the cues or it's just her like natural instinct or whatever, but like she's really good at it, at doing it
Yeah.
for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What about your wife? Like with your daughter, you know, she's new to it, but she's also has like a fresher mind, you know, probably easier for her to learn things. But I feel like it's harder for people to, in their later years, or, you know, once they're, you know, out of their childhood, to kind of learn. Has your wife adapted to it pretty well as well?
Oh yeah. My wife, I mean, she, same thing. I know maybe that's where my daughter gets it from, but like Like my wife, like we'll hold hands or like lock arms. You know what I mean? Excuse me. She's never really like she doesn't like grab my shoulder and like try and lead me through a crowd. And I don't like hang on to her arms and walk right behind her. So
Yeah.
no, it's pretty easy. Like we'll hold hands and like if somebody's like walking towards me or whatever and I don't notice them, she'll like either squeeze my hand or kind of like give a little tug, and then so I know all
Mm.
right, go this way, or she'll like push her arm away
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
me and all right, we're going that way. So like the just the cues. I mean, probably from being married for almost 14 years. Um,
Yeah. It's a long time.
yeah, hey, we're getting there. Um, but yeah, so she's and maybe my oldest just picked up on it watching her. Who knows?
Mm.
Um, but yeah, no, she does very well with it too. Like I said, I'm very thankful for my family in general.
Yeah. It sounds like you got a plus family, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's a blessing for sure to have that support. And, you're close with your dad still.
yeah, yeah,
You also have some buddies too, that you said that come help you in the garage.
yep, yeah, yeah.
You got friends with RP. You've surrounded yourself with a lot of
And that's
great
it.
people. How have your friends, that work on cars, because you work full time.
Yep.
How is your coworkers and how is your friends who help you in the garage? Do they notice anything with RP, or is it just
Yeah,
kind
I
of a
mean,
small little blip on the radar?
um, they might. I mean, like the owner of the company, my direct boss, like they know for sure. Like, I don't really talk about it at work. Um, I mean, I
Yeah.
am friends with people at work on social media, so they see and they know and stuff like that. But like,
Yeah.
I don't go out of my way to talk about it at work. So, um, but yeah, I mean, the people at work, like, I work in a parts department of a truck dealership. Um, so a lot of it's on the computer anyway. So um, I use my phone a lot, like take pictures of invoices so I can zoom in on them.
Hmm.
Um, or um, yeah, just taking pictures of part numbers of stuff on the drawer on the shelf. A lot of the part numbers that I hand over the counter, I memorize anyway. So
Nice.
a lot of times I don't even need to do that. I just type, go get them. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at remembering numbers.
You've adapted at work, it sounds like, and you kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
made it
yeah.
work for you. And it sounds like you have a job that's scalable too. Like you'll be able to keep doing that.
Yep, yep. And my the general manager of the company, his wife actually works. I don't know the name of the school, but she works at a she 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 works at a school for the blind in Rhode Island. Um,
Oh, wow.
so um,
So
she's
she's super familiar.
yeah, yeah. So she's actually sent me some information and stuff on the state and what I can do and
Mm-hmm.
about getting like real mobility training and stuff like that. So,
Mm.
um, but yeah, no, it's a very family oriented business dealership that I work for, um,
Yeah.
and the owner has said like anything I ever need, like he'll get it. So if I need like a bigger monitor eventually, or
Yeah.
who knows, maybe Zoom text or something like some sort of app. I mean, right now my phone's working pretty damn well.
Yeah.
So
The phone's great.
again, technology. So
Well, that's awesome, man. It sounds like you just have all around support around you, man.
yeah,
Um,
that's my personality. I gotta keep it going.
yeah. Well, yeah, it's like,
Source it, find it.
yeah, I mean, and it's kind of ties in perfectly, honestly, to tie this all into your current project with the RP Flyer, you got the support of your family who allow you to spend your free time doing this.
Yep.
You got your dad who helps you go find the parts. You got your buddies who help bring in these super heavy parts, because a lot of them are heavy, I know, and need probably a lot of people, to help
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
it
yeah.
in. And then you got your children. I'm sure they come out there and help you every now and then.
Oh yeah, my oldest one, not so much. She's not really into the garage thing, but my little one's out here a lot actually. So
Oh, really?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. My little one's out here a lot. Not obviously not so much helping.
That's
She's
cute.
3, but she just likes being in the garage, sitting on the seat, rolling on the creeper. So
She's welding.
yeah. Got her welding. Running the wire wheel, cleaning off parts.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And in terms of like, if 100% is the car being complete, what percentage are you in terms of the RP Flyer from being, what percentage complete are you?
I'd like to say 60-ish,
Ah,
but
so you're over the halfway mark.
yeah, I'd say that. I just finished up the chassis is 100% done now. I've just finished up the front brakes last week, so the chassis is done. So now I'm finishing up rebuilding the transmission, and then the body's on, but not on, like it's not bolted down. So it's just there,
Yeah.
so I can keep an eye on where things are going, and because the body's not right, you know what I mean. Body's not right for the chassis, so I got to keep an eye on where things are going to fall and land. But yeah, so I mean, it's basically just make some mounts, put the body down. Before it's sold, I would like to paint it, so it's going to need body work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say a modest 65%. How's that? We'll say a modest 65.
There we go. Modest 65. Yeah. So people should donate if you've listened to this episode and you want to help Vinny out. There's a link in the show description, to his GoFundMe account, where all the funds will go directly to building the RP Flyer.
Yep.
And even if there is excess in funds, it will all be donated either way. So
Yep.
your money is basically going to go towards the Foundation Fighting Blindness. But the advantage of donating to Vinny versus just donating to Foundation Fighting Blindness is he's going to take your money and double it maybe because you're going to build something, so it's like almost like an investment. So if whatever you donate, it's going to actually, when he sells the car, it'll end up being more. So this is a way to kind of maximize, your donation to the Foundation Fighting Blindness.
So I have
no pressure.
Yeah. I have, because I have it written on my board here. I've been keeping a tally. Now, if only I could read my own writing. So I have $3,257.22 so far into what's behind me.
Wow, and you did all that, and you did all that with that, which to me is very impressive.
And as this thing sits right now, without even putting another wrench on it, I could sell this for at least 10.
Sick. So you'll triple. Yeah, you're going to triple. You basically are tripling your money. Yeah, so that's awesome, man.
So
definitely donate. Definitely donate if you can. No pressure. I know times are hard. Economy's not the best.
Oh
but if you feel like donating, it's a good place to do it. Help Vinny out. We covered a lot, Vinny.
Yeah. Hey, I'm here to talk.
Anything else you want to throw in?
No, I actually think we covered a good amount of stuff. Don't live in a shell. Don't live in a bubble. Go out, have fun. Live. What did I say on one of the groups? In one of the groups, I said live in spite of RP. Don't live in fear of RP.
Yeah.
I don't know if I heard that somewhere,
great.
And then I regurgitated it. I don't know. But I know I said it once, and I like that saying. So
I like that too. Yeah, live in spite of RP. Yeah. Be spiteful. Be spiteful to RP. Like it kind of ties into the FURP mentality. Mike and Steve talk about.
Yep.
It's just kind of like be spiteful. Oh, you think I'm not going to do that because of RP?
Yeah, right.
You gotta be joking. You know, be spiteful, man.
Yeah.
It can work for you. But yeah, man, I think it's an amazing episode, man. And I'm stoked to see the RP flyer get finished up. And I want to see it running too. I want to see it on a track.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, you know, links to follow Vinny are in the show description. Links to Vinny's GoFundMe is in the show description. You know, go check those out. And if you want somebody to connect to, you can also message Vinny like he promised. And you can also, you know, message me or email me, seethroughpodcast@gmail.com. I'm on social media at seethroughpod. All right, man. Well, that's it, man. Thanks for taking time on a Saturday to do this interview. I hope you're not too hot in your garage.
No. I do need an AC in here, but actually it's not too bad right now.
We'll talk more like we typically do, but
yeah.
Thanks for coming on the podcast, man. I'm glad we finally got this one down. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad.
All right, man.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.